United States, I think there's a little bit too much information to be found by looking at live blood, so it's kind of been banned.
Kind of banned, did you say?
They don't like practitioners. They don't like people doing it. So,
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's why they banned it in Australia as well. I don't think that they can use it in Australia, but in New Zealand, yes, still. Here it's okay in the UK, but you've got to be very careful how you promote yourself.
So I pulled up some slides real quick. I basically pulled up the photos that you sent over and some of the videos. So we'll look at these. I think you can see this. So these were some of the images you sent over, and we'll walk through what some of these images and videos mean, the interpretation and such. So the first one, this was from someone who has been injected, correct?
Yes, so that image was taken from the injection site of a patient of mine who'd had the injection a day before. I think it was the AZ injection.
So just as a comparison, this is your blood.
That's my blood, yeah. This is when we're looking at live blood analysis, the little bubbles you can see, those are your red blood cells. We want them to be lovely and round and roughly the same shape and size. And the membrane edge, that's very, very important as well to have a healthy membrane. So we want to have a negative charge on the outside of the cells as well, so the cells aren't attracted to each other and they don't start stacking. So we want it just to be all free-flowing and lovely, and that's kind of like a perfect blood sample.
So you're kind of bragging.
A little bit.
Yeah. And then this is from someone who had been recently injected with the AZ.
Mm-hmm. So what we're seeing here is what we would call keratinocytes. There's a lot of oxidative stress, obviously, on the outside of the red blood cell, you can see. So something has compromised the membrane on the outside of the red blood cell. Usually it's to do with toxicity within the system. So it wouldn't be surprising to see the blood cells looking like this at the injection site.
Well, and
so when our blood cells, when the membrane is not working efficiently like that, then it's not going to be delivering nutrients and oxygen and taking away the waste products. It's just not going to be working efficiently for us.
So here is my blood.
I'm going to take the audio down. So I'm going to take the audio off.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of an experiment.
I have to do that, but then I have to do that. So this is your live blood.
I think this was the first one. So this was me yesterday morning before I took 10 drops of clean slate. And because my blood's pretty good to start off with, we're not going to see kind of much improvement in the red blood cells, but we did see an improvement after 10 drops of clean slate. If you go to the next video, I don't know where the next one is.
I'm going to go back through some of these. This is where it gets fun. Look at these little dudes moving.
Yeah. So there was a lot more vitality in the blood after taking 10 drops of clean slate. Now this was 20 minutes later. So what's happened is it's really zoomed up the electrical charge within the cell. So they're moving around a lot more. It was beautiful to see, actually.
And as you were touching on the membrane efficiency, and you can see that if we go back and forth, let me go back here. You can see when you look at the membrane of these little red blood cells, they're very healthy, but when we go forward, you can see that they're markedly stronger, and that's a measurement of their zeta potential, right? As far as the membrane energy and such.
It's like Dr. Bruce Lipton says, the membrane is everything. We talk about genetics and DNA, etc. But it's really the information comes from the terrain on the outside of the cell as to how we express health from within the cell. So we want to have a healthy terrain, the correct electrical charge on the outside of the cell as well. So we're able to pick up oxygen and take it around and deliver nutrients. it's very important to have a really healthy, what we call a zeta potential, the correct charge within the, what do you call it, like a colloidal solution is what blood is, basically.
So now we get to have some of the fun analysis with imagery. So you took some of the clean slate, put it on a slide, and then looked at that under the microscope, and then waited a few hours and looked at their behavior. So we're going to walk through some of these. So this is one of the first images of the clean slate crystals and fragments under dark field microscope. So what did you see? Have you ever seen anything like this?
No, I mean, it was just so beautiful is all I can say, because with live blood analysis, we actually have a black and white picture, but with this clean slate, with this zeolite, it was showing up the ultraviolet light, like a bluey, purpley hue actually on my screen, which was just, I've never seen that before. It was just so beautiful. And you can't, I mean, I'll try to get as much detail for you in that picture, but when you're actually looking down the eyepiece of the microscope, you see so much more detail as well. But like literally, I just had to snap that as soon as I was able to get that, because it was just beautiful. And there's all different sizes of the zeolite.
Well, and then we'll go here.
Yeah, so these little pieces here would be about probably about 1/5 the size of the first one we just saw, the one that looked like a spaceship. And most of them, I'd say about 85-90% at this size, and then you get slightly smaller ones and slightly bigger ones. So, and you can see, look at that ultraviolet light coming off them. But what was so interesting is, I think you've got a picture of when I first put the clean slate on the slide. And I went away for the afternoon. There we go. So that's the first one. You can't see the ultraviolet light at that magnification. But you can see it's just, you can see all the structures inside the clean slate solution. And when I went back to it about 3 or 4 hours later, I noticed that these lines, it had formed their own lines. It's like they had some kind of intelligence. I've never seen this before. And you can see all these lines had developed, and all the zeolite crystals were on the lines. I mean, there were some just slightly outside the lines, but I think in the video when I'm showing it, you can see how they like to be on the lines. It was quite incredible. So you just follow the lines and they would be, can you see?
And these formed after 3 hours of a drop just sitting on the slide. So it wasn't, you didn't shake it. This was the same slide that you did the images of before that looked like this.
Yeah.
And then 3 hours later, they look like this.
I think this was this morning. So even more lines had formed the next day. So I kept it overnight as well. And then there was see, this came overnight. That structure.
That's so cool.
It's just been so incredible to watch. It's just to watch it change over time, see what it was doing.
And energetically,
it is like a halfway. Pardon?
Yeah, so you're actually seeing them shift in their position and their alignment in a natural really a static environment, because that solution is sitting under a slide. You hadn't moved it, it hadn't shaken, you hadn't done anything to change it. It's structuring on its own.
Yeah, totally on its own. It was quite magnificent to watch. I haven't never seen anything like it. Usually I'm looking at blood. Maybe I keep blood on the slide for a couple of hours, sometimes even 24 hours, and we just see if there's any pleomorphism, see what develops within the blood, because we're looking at how healthy the interstitial tissue is, how healthy that plasma is, really, what comes out of cells. It's amazing what happens when you leave blood for a while. But I've never seen structures like this develop in any other solution.
In a good way.
In a good way.